Hello, thank you for joining us. We are here in District 10. My name is Alicia Smith-Kirk. I'm the Program Quality Director. And here with me today to present Becoming a Pathways Mentor is Robbie McKee. Please welcome her.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. I'm Robbie McKee. I'm president of Chardon Toastmaster 7039. I am signed up to become a Pathways Mentor. I'm in that current path. I am also at Presentation Mastery Level 4, working on Level 5. Welcome, everyone.
We're going to kick it off asking some questions. Robbie, I'll pass to you.
Okay. We're going to talk about Pathways Mentoring. And the biggest question we want to ask right now is, are you ready to help someone along their path? That's a big question. In our agenda today, we're going to cover what is a Pathways Mentor, how do you get started, what are the requirements, and why are Pathway Mentors needed, especially now. The Pathways Mentoring program has a variety of different criteria. The benefits reach beyond the club. And if you get into the mentoring program, there are different levels, as there are in any of the other paths. But the different levels are perhaps maybe a little bit more skill building and more, and the takeaway from them probably is greater in your normal everyday to-day life. The first part of the program, you're going to basically have an overview of the Toastmasters Pathway program. And there's important information in there because there's some very important questions that are asked. So if you do this, you're going to, first of all, you're going to notify your VP of Ed that you're interested. And then your VP of Ed is the person who is going to be responsible for assigning you a protege within your club for the mentoring project. It's up to your VP of Ed to find the right person. I would suggest that as you enter into this portion of it, that you are very much in touch with your VP of Ed, because you have to remember that this is a give and take relationship. And if you're not married up to the right person, you're both going to fail. So it's very important that you are able to help in this process of choosing the protege. The protege doesn't have to be a member who is in your club, and it could be someone younger or older than you. There are no age requirements. We have found that from a Pathways mentoring aspect, it's better to have someone who is in the path, who has been experienced in Pathways to some extent, working with our legacy people. Once you have that in place, then you'll go into the mentoring program, and your protege is active in the mentoring program also, because there are requirements on both ends. This is not just one person coaching. This is a concerted effort to work together to reach goals for your protege. So the first step is prepare to mentor. Are you really ready? And what are your expectations? The question, are you personally ready, addresses the fact that there are different things that people expect to take out of the relationship. If you're going into a mentoring situation with a big ego, it's going to be difficult for you to be an effective mentor. And those are things that you need to be prepared for. And this Pathways program truly does help you work through those details. You need to establish what your expectations are. What do you want to take away from this mentoring program? And what type of goals do you want to help achieve with your protege? When you're actually into the mentoring portion of the pathway, you need to be looking at things like, have you ever effectively mentored someone? If you have not, it's not necessarily something that is going to stand in your way, but you need to be aware that this is your chance to really learn what mentoring is all about. And there are all the resources that you need to be an effective mentor are in place in this mentoring program. Another question that you need to ask yourself is, are you prepared to adjust your needs to your protege's needs? We often go into something with a predestined outcome. We already know how we want it to turn out. You're going to establish goals. But on occasion, your mentor, your protege is going to want to move in a different direction or move at a different speed or take a different tact to get to the goal. And you need to be prepared to adjust your expectations and your personal needs to meet their needs. At the end of the day, the mentoring is not so much about you, it's about your protege. Once you have actually completed the mentoring portion, you'll move into advanced mentoring. And the advanced mentoring is when you start to look back and find out if you have actually reached your goals. You've planned your course, but have you put that course into action? And this is the part, this is kind of where the tires meet the road. It's the portion that you are going to grade yourself on, and your protege is going to also grade themselves and you on. At this point, does anyone have any questions before we move on? And Alicia, did you want to add anything?
Sure. And Danae, we can't hear you. If you can unmute yourself. I wanted to add that the advanced mentoring is a 6-month term, so it's a bigger commitment for you and your protege. A good example for us Toastmasters is, let's say you've just finished a term as Vice President Education, and now you're the immediate past Vice President Education. This would be a great way to mentor in the new Vice President of Education through this structured advanced mentoring program for the first 6 months of their term. Really helpful guide to use here in the program.
Thank you.
And I think Danae is trying to share. Yes. Servanti, would you like to add something?
Yes, I'm on level 5 of motivational strategies, and this ties in so well. I know this is an independent project that anyone could take on, but understanding what motivates a protege, I think, would be exceptionally important. So that's something that just occurred to me as Robbie was walking us through this. So understanding what keeps the protege motivated is very important. And Robbie, you made the point so accurately that it's about the protege, it's about the mentee, not so much mentor. We go in with a preconceived notion. This is how I know exactly how this should work, but it's not so much about that. It's about adapting it to the mentee's needs and making sure we understand what motivates him or her. So thank you, Robbie.
You're welcome. As with any path that you follow in Toastmasters, there are evaluations. And in this particular path, there's a mentoring evaluation for the protege, and there's also for the mentor. Alicia, can you advance to the next? There we are. So this is for the protege. And this can be, if you look at the questions, they're pretty much basic questions. My mentor-protege relationship was effective. My mentor was accessible. Some of these things are going to feel personal, and you have to keep in mind that if you are both going to grow from this experience, you have to get personal about this. You have to have your goals in place. You have to execute a plan to the goals, and then you have to take a good realistic look at the feedback after you've reached the end of your project. So this is very important. This is a skill building platform for both of you, and it can move well past the pathways mentoring program.
absolutely. Where it says my mentor was accessible and available for regular communication. That is key. And I think it's important when you're going into a partnership to set up some agreeable things for communication. What is the preferred method of communication? How will we communicate when we're going through conflict? What are our strategies to work through disagreements? It's really helpful if you set that up in advance, because when the time comes and you have those issues, and they'll come, it's a part of the process, you'll already both be able to go back to, remember we said this is how we'll handle it.
I think one of the things that's very important when you are a mentor or you are the mentee, the protege, is that you need to clearly establish your communication. It has to happen often, but the mode of communication is something that's very important. In this day and age, especially in this COVID situation, we have a need for the Zoom meetings. We have a need to use email or texting more often. We're not going to be meeting in person, and that can get in the way of being effective for some people. So again, be ready to adjust, be ready to adapt in order to meet your goals, in order to actually achieve your end results.
Robbie, I like the questions that you post here. Are you prepared to be honest? And have you gotten feedback from your protege? It's tough when you say about being honest, because sometimes you don't want to maybe hurt someone's feelings, or to you're trying to figure out how can you say to them, oh, you're so close, you just need to do this one thing, I've seen it, I know that you are there. And sometimes we can be defensive. One thing that I have grown, one area I've grown through the Toastmasters program is in taking feedback. And I think it's very appropriate that this program is available to us at level 2, because in level 1, we go through the evaluation and feedback program, where we learn and prove that we've learned how to both give and receive feedback. And I think that that point of honesty is something, again, that the mentor and the mentee would need to discuss at the very beginning.
Yes, I totally agree, Alicia. Now, as you move through this program, all the resources, as we mentioned, all the resources are available, and these can be applied to so many other things. The assessment forms and the guides, they are just so valuable. There's something to hang on to, but they can be applied, like I said, to so many other things. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through some of these forms, and Alicia, if you would take the lead on these, please.
I would love to. I'm very big on forms. Love forms and checklists. I call them my accountability partner. And in days like now, we're at home, we need those pieces to keep us on track. Excuse me. The protege self-assessment. Your protege, assuming we're all here, are mentors. They will list their long-term goals and hope that their mentor is going to help them achieve it. So there's 4 slots for them to put down their top goals. It could be personal, it could be professional, it can be specific to Toastmasters. It's really important to get to know a little bit about your mentee, especially if you're being assigned by your vice president of education in the club. You might not have an existing relationship outside of fellow Toastmaster. It would be great to have coffee or tea online at lunchtime to just chit chat and connect, have some fun. Always have a little mini icebreaker before you start into your conversation. It's really important to know and understand what motivates someone, and Servanti mentioned that. So knowing their goals helps us understand what's important to them. I like that it started with long-term goals. That indicates we're supposed to think of the end in mind. Where does your mentee want to finish within the time? The listing the short-term goals, that's helpful, because don't we all love small wins? It motivates us to take that next step. And what expertise does your ideal mentor possess? So this protege self-assessment goes into the mind of the protege themselves, so they can put out their dream connection. that is going to do the legwork for the Vice President of Education that is trying to make a great pair. Any more comments on this? Okay. Now the next one is my favorite of all. This is the mentor communication tracking log. So the mentor has their name, the protege has his or her name. And this is where you track the communications, the date that you had a communication, what were the topics discussed, were there any action items that were supposed to be followed up with, and any notes. Maybe there were some things that you really didn't have time to get to, but you don't want to forget because they are important. And so this structure is so helpful because when you come back around to that next meeting, you can pick right back up with those notes. And it continues on. So this tracking log, if both the mentor and the mentee use it, really helps to keep you on the same page, literally. The protege success plan. And here we are, long-term, medium-term, and short-term goals. This is where the protege gets to apply the SMART goals, where they can have the 3 things that are the top things for them long-term, and you and your protege or you and your mentor can decide what that means. If 3 months is long-term for you, then midterm is 2 months, short-term is 1 month. So maybe you have some really important things you need to accomplish in a short time, like in a 6-month time, or maybe a year. You're taking on some big roles. You're going to be president of your club, and you would like to have a mentor that you can structure that journey around some paperwork. This would be helpful for you in that as well.
May I make one addition?
Absolutely.
With all these forms, you have to be aware sometimes too that the mentor or the protege sometimes are somewhat daunted by forms. So you may want to use these as a guideline, but if let's say your protege says, I'm not comfortable doing forms, if they're willing to do something with just even a notebook, or I think it's thrown out there that there may actually be a slip of paper that they write on. That's fine, as long as you both agree on your goals.
I think that's a great point, Robbie, because there are a lot of forms, and the forms are there to help you as the best practices. But again, it's a guidance. And if one or the other party prefers a different method, maybe someone is a journaler and they like to keep their important things in a journal book, then to make that allowance. And you mentioned earlier that we go into this with set expectations of what's going to work, but that we have to adjust our expectations to the need of the person that we're mentoring, because it's not about us, it is about them. So the important thing we were talking about was feedback. So mentoring evaluation for the protege. And I think this is something to talk about up front as well when we talk about the communication plan. How will we communicate need for change, or if something's not working? When we fill out these evaluation forms, we want to give true, real feedback. We don't want to be critical or negative, but we also don't want to be overly rosy, because we want to be effective. And what I love about these new types of evaluation forms that Toastmasters International has provided us, if you look at these numbers, number 1, strongly agree. Number 2, disagree. Number 3, neither agree nor disagree. 4, agree, strongly agree. 5. It's giving us, it's not like a bad score. There's no way to get a bad score here. This is opening up the conversation for everyone to have a voice at the table. And you have a chance to explain your rating here, to make more comments along the way. And we're hoping as well that by the time you go through this and you get to this evaluation, you have fostered a strong relationship with your mentor, with your mentee, so that when this feedback comes, you know the spirit with which it's coming, and you know this is someone that respects you, that they value your talent, who you are as a person, and they truly want to see you succeed. So that fostering of the relationship, agreeing on the communication method is so critical. It's really important because that's where the feedback is going to be valuable. You'll be able to receive it and feel comfortable enough to give it. More paperwork. So this is a monthly goal check. And some people may want to think about integrating these types of paperwork into their regular work schedule. So if their goals are work related, then this becomes an addendum to help them reach these work goals. And it really becomes a support system to their professional development, as opposed to feeling like maybe more work. And some of the questions that you're going to be asked for the monthly goal check, and we can go through them. What have you gained from our mentor-protege relationship up to this point? Wow, isn't that a great question? Was this 30 days valuable to me, or am I wasting my time? You know, do I need to reset the course? Has the GPS gone off, you know, onto his or her own course? Have you made progress towards your goal? What are the strengths of our mentor-protege relationship? How powerful is that to identify already in the first 30 days the strength? Do you think we have experienced any challenges or difficulties? There's your open door to get back to that communication plan and to address the issue and bring about a solution together. Robbie, did you have anything you wanted to add to the monthly goal check?
Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned that using these as a guide throughout the process is so helpful, because I think part of setting our expectations for communication is to keep it fresh in our minds what our goals are. But having these points to look at, if you're starting to get off track, you're going to recognize it when you go back through these forms. So these are probably something that should be in front of you all the time.
Really, really great point.
I'd like to add to what Robbie and Alicia, both of you were saying. Even if we are, one of the things I'm daunted by are forms, right? I'm Alicia's not opposite, but I'm midway. I like forms, but I would like to keep them reasonable. At least if we had these two forms, the goals, right? Long-term and short-term goals, and this goal check. Even if we only used these two, I think it would still be valuable, right? For someone like me who doesn't want 6 forms, but would absolutely admire or want to, I think these two, the goals and this monthly check or a bi-weekly check form, would be exceptional. And the other thought I had, I think a couple of slides ago that I wanted to mention is, as we go through this, it's not a one and done thing, right? The feedback from the protege, our own self-reflection, I think is going to help us as we move forward with mentoring others, right? This is not a one and done project. Mentorship learning, whether it is for the protege or the mentor, I think is an ongoing process. I think this will equip us for the next time we take on a protege, right? For the next time we mentor someone. So this is not a one-time project, and that's sometimes we miss that. We think, yes, I've completed mentorship and I'm done, but I may not think of constantly and intentionally applying those learnings to my next protege mentoring project. So just thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Good thoughts. Any other thoughts? Thinking about, for you, are you in a relationship right now where you are the mentor? Are you the protege? Any thoughts you want to share about this monthly goal check, some of these forms? And you can think about that. I'll come back to you. The evaluation form for the mentoring project. And it talks about the purpose for the member to apply his or her mentoring skills to a short-term mentoring assignment. And this is the speech, the 5 to 7 minute speech that you're going to give at your club. And the purpose for this member is to share some aspect of his or her first experience as a Toastmasters mentor. And if you remember, we went through that there were 4 levels of mentoring: the introduction, the preparing to mentor, the actual mentoring, and then the advanced mentoring. So it's ongoing, it's progressive, and the speech that you'll give reflects one aspect. when you're giving the speech, keep in mind, you don't want to give a speech of the mechanics or the instruction or the details of the actual project. This is personal. And if you make it personal and you're willing to share it with your club, you will have an impact on your members. You will influence someone else's ability to grow forward by opening up and taking on a mentor or becoming a mentor. So this speech is highly important. And be honest. I like that word that Robbie chose. I mean, we're honest people, but being honest in this aspect means share the challenges. Because when we say everything is okay, everything is good, everything is great, sometimes people are like, no, I don't think then it must be you. You must be great. I can't do it because I've had no luck at this. We want them to see that there is a way through any challenge, and that this mentorship, it means you have a buddy, a person that's going to walk with you, you know, foot together, straightforward, every step of the way. And so we're thankful for those of you who joined us today and who are considering or actively engaging in the Pathways Mentoring Program. It's a wonderful program. I'm also in it. I'm finishing up the advanced mentoring. And I will say, as someone who your lifestyle impacts how you handle mentoring. So being raised in a family where there was a lot of mentoring and a lot of encouragement to mentor, to coach, it's a part of who I am. But honestly, these structure of the mentorship program and Pathways really helped me to identify even more the structure that I can put around it and how I can see and take that moment to recognize my own growth and the growth that I've had an impact on others through these checks and balances.
Alicia, thank you. One of the things that I think is so important right now, especially where mentoring is concerned, as we are in these difficult situations, is we need to not just look at where we are today. We need to look at where we're going to be tomorrow, where we're going to be in 3 months, where we're going to be in 6 months. In Toastmasters, in business, in our personal lives. And this type of project allows us to project into the future. It allows us to pave the way to move forward. And I think we need to keep that in mind as we are parked here in our virtual reality, that this is not going to be the way it's going to be going forward. And we need to be prepared for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. Is there anyone that has any final questions or final thoughts they would like to share before we wrap up?
Thank you. Yes, I really, truly appreciate all of the efforts that you have put together for this meeting. Robbie and Alicia and Verzante, I'll work on the names, for your experience and your advice. It is brilliant. It's eloquently expressed. It was a great experience sitting in on this meeting as well. It was very helpful, everything that I've read and put together. And I truly appreciate that, to share experience, your own experience, and to put that out there to the protege. I have a club member that was so adamant on asking me, please be my mentor. And I didn't feel that I was ready. I didn't think that I was ready, and I had to process that and share with her my experience being at Toastmasters, my goals, and I do believe that I am prepared, and I will work through it. We did speak about a lot of things in regards to that, and I did tell her that if we had any questions, if I wasn't certain about something, I certainly would reach out and get some counsel and go back to her with that. So this is a person that we have a great connection with the dispositions and our experience and our enthusiasm. We're both very enthusiastic and excited about Toastmasters and growing. And so I see a lot of her enthusiasm in me, and I do want to be there for her for as long as she needs. If it goes over a year, then I'm on board with that. I love being there for people. And, you know, if it's a long-term protege mentorship relationship, then I'm on board for that. And so this was a very beneficial meeting. I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody.
You're very welcome.
We're
Thank
so
you.
glad. You're welcome. We're so glad you were able to be here. And that's outstanding that you're willing to, you're a spirit about the mentoring. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Toastmasters Smith-Kirk. I tend to agree that, yeah, that's kind of echo some of what I've heard already. I think there's a lot of value in the approaches and the different offerings of method, depending on the individual people, depending on what fits and what can work between a mentor and protege. So the value that I see here is really in the ability to reflect both personally, you know, inwards, and then also for the external to your protege or your mentor in both directions. I feel that there's a lot of opportunity and relevance for the personal and interpersonal parts of what this program offers. Thank you for sharing that.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig.
And I see that Danae has sent us the chat box. Great. She says, yes, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. You're welcome. Thank you for attending.
Okay.
She says she's working on presentation mastery. Okay, great. Well, that concludes our training for today. We thank you for being here. You can reach out to us if you have more questions or would like to follow up. Robbie's email was already on the invitation here. You can reach me at programquality@district10.org. And we wish all of you a wonderful day.